Dr. Patel, what is your take on adaptogens? People are taking ashwagandha, black cohosh, red clover, all of these things. I haven't tried any one of them, but I would like to ask you what your take on it is, and in terms of purity, sourcing, if at all you even recommend them.
So these are actually two different categories of supplements. One is things like black cohosh, red clover, isoflavones. These are all phytoestrogens. So they are like what they call phytoestrogens, so plant estrogens, and they can chemically mimic estrogen. So they go and attach to estrogen receptors. They can sometimes take care of mild symptoms like hot flashes. The problem is that each one of these has a specific active compound in them, and very often that is not clearly labeled on supplements. Like for isoflavones, there is something called genistein and daidzein, which is a chemical composition of the potent parts of isoflavones. But if you see a typical supplement, very few will mention how much of daidzein and how much of genistein it has. They'll just be labeled as isoflavones. It's something like fish oil. It says fish oil, but we don't know how much EPA and DHA we have. So we don't know what the how much of active ingredient we have. And if we don't know how much active ingredient we have, we basically may be using it as a placebo. We may be consuming all this extra stuff which we don't really need. And then is it
Are we
really,
loading our kidneys and liver? That's the point.
well, everything goes through the liver and kidneys eventually. And I'm not sure those dosages can really cause damage in some way. But the bottom line is like, why would you then take it? So isoflavones, yes, some relief in hot flashes has been found, and that's where very often there's a question: should we be consuming soy, and
Yes,
will that?
that was my next question, because as a chef and a nutritionist, that's all I'm interested in is cooking ingredients. In fact, I use creatine monohydrate not only in the acai bowls and chia bowls, but also in my chutneys and chas. I
Is super innovative.
I quietly put 5 grams when my mother comes, so she, I give it to her regularly as well.
Yeah.
So, as a chef, I'm interested in knowing about the phytoestrogen
Yeah.
that biomimics estrogen. Does it come in soy, tofu? I mean, soy products,
Yeah.
all the soy
Yeah.
products.
No, it definitely does. We do see like, there's soy and tofu both contain, there are many different kinds of isoflavones. So these two are just the most potent ones. And if you look at, how much of tofu do you need to eat to get that much of genistein or daidzein, the ratio can be pretty high. That means you'll be eating a whole load of tofu every day to get the amount that is required to control a hot flash. Plus, if you look at whether it works directly, no, it actually needs to get absorbed. The gut bacteria converts that isoflavone into something called Equol. So we need that gut microbiome to convert it into this other compound, which is then active. And that's why if you see different populations behave differently with isoflavones or with soy supplements, because the Asian population has a gut microbiome that very easily converts these isoflavones into Equol.
Wow.
So they have, when they eat soy, they say, or they eat isoflavones, they think we don't have hot flashes. Same thing, you give it to someone who's of not, East Asian origin, and they will metabolize it very differently, and they'll say it doesn't work for me. So there is so much variability, and it has been very hard. In fact, I think my second podcast was on soy isoflavones, because I wanted to understand. See, when we come out with a meta-analysis or a final research article, what's the consensus on soy? How do we compare? Because each research article has used a different combination of isoflavones, and different populations have consumed it, and at different stages of menopause. How does one come out with a consensus? It's very hard. So I remember doing research on this podcast, and I was so troubled, because for 15 days I found so many papers, but there was just no uniformity. So how do you conclude? So the conclusion was kind of vague, like it may work, it may not work. The bottom line is what? Should we be spending money on these isoflavones as supplements? Should we just be eating soy and tofu separately? The thing is that whether we have research on isoflavones or not, we definitely know soy is going to give us protein at least.
Uh-huh. As a full 9 essential amino acids for a vegan or a vegetarian.
Exactly.
It's a safe, low-fat source.
Exactly. And it is quite inexpensive.
Correct.
If you compare it
That
with
too.
meat, it is
Why
quite
paneer is cheaper than paneer?
Exactly, exactly. So I feel like, soy nuts, like things like, those soy nuggets, these things are available in India and they can be a great source.
It's funny, I haven't seen the soy buddies, what you get, in the West.
No, you don't get them. Last time when I went back from Mumbai, I carried 2 big packets from
Oh,
here.
you did. Good for you. So we actually love it. And I must tell you something amazing that not only is it pocket friendly, but it's widely eaten by our rural population for protein.
I think it's excellent.
So yeah, makes me feel so happy that they're getting their protein like that.
Yeah.
Vegan on top of that,
Yeah.
low fat.
Yeah.
So my question to you is between paneer and tofu. Now this, my chef's hat has come on. My nutritionist's hat has come on. So between paneer and tofu for a hormonal imbalance, what would you prefer?
I wouldn't really call any of these conditions as a hormonal imbalance, but I would say, okay, if I had a choice between tofu and paneer, personally, I would choose tofu just because it may give me that phytoestrogen and that complete protein. Not that paneer won't have, but then now paneer carries so much fat along with it, which tofu doesn't.
Saturated fat, that too.
Exactly. And why do I want it? My requirement is not that. Like, I feel tofu for me is a better source of protein. Forget the phytoestrogens, but I feel it's a more efficient source of protein for me as compared to.
Okay, so I feel the same way as you, okay? But we live in a paneer loving country. People are not getting used to the flavor of tofu, even though tofu absorbs flavors quicker than paneer does.
Yeah.
Tofu is like a sponge, it absorbs flavors beautifully. So my question to you, Dr. Patel, was that a lot of doctors, tell cancer patients not to eat tofu. And as a nutritionist, I've had a lot of people who, are overweight. I cannot give them another source of protein because of the additional collateral carbs they have to consume because of that protein. So then I have to give them an isolate. I'm going to come to isolates as my ultimate point and what I want to discuss about supplements. But why are cancer patients, breast cancer survivors, etc., told not to eat soy? Does it really translate into such a big risk?
No. In fact, the Cancer Society's website, if you check it out, they are very clear on their take on soy, consumption of soy, not supplements. Basically, soy, tofu, any form of soy milk. There is a clear consensus that soy does not increase our risk of breast cancer, that soy is not contraindicated in people who have breast cancer. And in fact, it is a healthy source of many good things. So basically, that is taken away. They have, however, put a fine print on this does not apply to soy supplements because we still don't have data on it, because they are unclear about it.
So soy supplements would literally be like chemical or compounded supplements?
They're capsules. They're like isoflavones. So basically, they extract the isoflavone part of it and they fill it up. So you need like a whole load of soy as a food to be compressed into that capsule.
Okay.
So if that is something that we are not clear about, so soy isoflavones, I wouldn't be comfortable because there is no clarity. It's possible that they are safe, but we just don't have that rich data to support it. But we do know that soy as a food is definitely, there isn't a no. I had specially dug out on that because it was really bothering me that, okay, what people ask me.
It bothers
I don't
me
know.
when I've had a few, people I've helped that are cancer survivors with food.
Yeah.
And so, even real food, I don't make soy for them. Supplements I've never used, but I'm just asking you at a very basic level.
No.
you know.
There is no evidence to say that we cannot be.
So soy sauce is also considered a form of soybean,
Yes,
or
but
would that be considered more like a?
well, it definitely has much less soy. There's definitely much less soy in soy sauce.
So less to worry about, just the
Less to worry
sodium.
about. I think I worry more about soy in different in a different context. Like basically because soy is such a sprayed crop that most of them are genetically modified. So I tend to choose like a non-GMO soy, whether it's tofu or it is soy milk. I'm very particular about that just because it's a highly sprayed crop.
My
So
goodness.
yeah, yeah. So
Good to
that's
know.
yeah. So that's the worrisome part of it. Otherwise, and then soy sauce is what else is there in that soy sauce that bothers me more than anything else. Salt content is so high. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Everything else bothers me more than that little bit of soy that's probably there in that soy sauce.
Okay, I just threw that in as a chef. Had to know. Last thing is, I must tell you that there's a doctor here in India. He goes by the name of Liver Doctor, and does amazing evidence research based work. And he came out with a study. It was a privately funded study, but they studied all the protein brands. And he came out with 2 vegan and 2 vegetarian isolates. And I was so happy when I read it because I was taking those very 2 brands that he had
Wow.
given blessed,
Wow.
Muscle Blaze and Optimal Nutrition. But the point is that all these isolates, okay, so for vegetarians and vegans especially, and I'm talking from their point of view,
Yeah.
not from a omnivore or flexitarian that eats meat.
Yeah.
If they have to supplement, they have to be so careful because of the lead content, the mislabelling कि इतना protein है, but it's really not so much protein. And so this liver doctor study I thought was fantastic in at least highlighting the brands that don't carry lead, that have the minimal amount of fungal toxins, that are the closest to the protein content that they say on their labels. And that's something I will share with our audience as well. Dr. Abby Phillips, his name is, and he goes by Liver Doctor. I will write about those 2 brands for supplementation. So, in terms of protein supplementation, your last final bits on that.
If you can't get it from food, get it from a supplement. Choosing a clean supplement, as you said, not easy. But at the same time, if one is going to choose between a whey and a vegan protein, I think both have a case for use. Vegan proteins typically will carry some fiber with them, which will be a 0 in a whey protein. So I feel like in a fiber deficient,
Isabgul.
I know, but I feel
I love psyllium husk. And you can't tell, just want to tell you, a chef's tip. You cannot tell. I throw it into the protein shake while blending, and it doesn't settle or
really?
become a porridge.
So I guess that is one option. Of course, it's best. Everything is best through food. But if one then needs to, just make sure you're getting enough fiber. I feel otherwise there's this whole protein culture without making sure that there is adequate fiber in our food, and that is a real problem.
So super important to hear this fiber bit. I completely agree. Even as a nutritionist, as I study optimal plates, you're right, fibers.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, as most children and most millennials, Gen Z, everyone's going to the gym and trying to bulk up, I make it a rule to just add 2 teaspoons of Isabgol every time I make a protein shake for the children. And like I said, Isabgol, if you just have it standalone, in America it's called Metamucil, but it comes artificially flavored. This is the unflavored bit. Sometimes even when I'm making kheer, nobody can tell. Real trick, can fool a lot of people with it, but great fiber for the gut.
Wow, didn't think of that. Yeah.
So it's so wonderful to have this conversation with you, because I know you cook your own food, you have clean eating habits, and you walk the talk. So truly appreciate it. there is one little segment I'd like to cover, and I'm hoping you find the time to give me for it. And that is hormonal health for women over 65. Because as our lifespans have increased, between 65 and 80, I mean, I, with God's grace, had a birthday party for my mother. And, her friends were between the ages of 82 and 95. And they outdanced us.
Wow.
They outdrank us, but they outdanced us for sure. And yeah, and it was fantastic. So, having said that, I would love to do a segment for women 65 and beyond, and speak about hormonal health. But till then, I thank you for your time and attention, and I hope that this episode was as useful for you as it was for me. Thanks, and see you soon.